You want the truth. Let's not sugarcoat it. Life isn't fair. And no, people don't always judge you on your character first. They judge what they see. The height, the build, the image. It's primal, it's instinctive, and it's real. But here's what most people miss: rejection isn't about lack. It's about presence. It's not the inches you stand tall. It's how you stand. So yes, some women say no. And you want to know the real reason why. It's not just the height. It's how some carry it. It's the energy they bring into a room. It's the way they allow a number on a measuring tape to measure their worth. And when that happens, confidence disappears. Eyes shift, shoulders shrink. And guess what? People sense it. Women sense it. Let me tell you something. They're not rejecting you because you're short. They're saying no to the insecurity, the shrinking posture, the silent defeat already playing in your head. They're saying no to the apology you wear like a second skin. You want to shift the narrative. You have to stop seeking permission to be bold, stop waiting to be accepted, and start commanding respect. Charisma doesn't wear heels. Power doesn't come in tall packages. It's in the way you walk into a room like you own it. Without arrogance, but with grounded authority. It's in how you speak, clear, calm, unshakable. Not loud, not boastful, but solid. Presence is earned. And it's not measured in feet. It's forged in resilience. You know what really makes people magnetic? Purpose, direction, grit. Most people drift, hoping someone will choose them, validate them. But the moment you start choosing yourself, fully, unapologetically, the world responds differently. You don't need to play the tall game. You need to play the long game. Build substance. Build excellence. Build self-command so fierce that it makes people look up to you no matter what. Some of the most powerful men in history didn't tower over others physically. But they towered mentally. They dominated because they refused to see themselves as less than. Because every inch they lacked, in stature, they made up for in presence, intellect, discipline, and drive. You want to turn it around. Then stop trying to grow taller. Start growing wiser, stronger, sharper. Rejection is never a full stop. It's feedback. Learn from it. Elevate from it. Because when you stop chasing approval and start cultivating value, everything changes. You're no longer auditioning. You're deciding. You're no longer waiting to be chosen. You're choosing. And that shift, that's the power move. That's how the game flips. So here's the challenge: build a life so undeniable, so grounded in truth and personal power, that the question of height becomes irrelevant. Let your confidence silence doubt. Let your achievements speak first. And let your discipline build a legacy that stands taller than any man alive. You want to win? Then stand up. Not to prove your height, but to prove your might. Own your story. Command your space. And never ever ask for permission to rise. People will always see with their eyes before they feel with their hearts. That's human nature. So yes, the first glance might fall on the external, on the height, the build, the physical package. But what keeps their attention, what shifts perception, and what makes people remember you isn't how tall you stand. It's how deeply rooted you are in your presence. Presence is a silent power. It's what makes someone stop mid-sentence when you walk into the room. It's the energy that demands attention without asking for it, without shouting, without forcing. It's about how grounded you are in who you are. You've probably seen it: someone who walks in with an unshakable calm, a collected mind, and a quiet confidence that speaks louder than any volume. That's presence. And presence can't be gifted or granted. It's built, it's practiced, it's refined over time. You build it in silence, in the gym when no one's watching, in the mirror when you're coaching yourself to keep going, in the moments when life hits hard, and you choose not to crumble. That's where presence is born, not in inches but in integrity. Too often, we confuse visibility with power. Just because someone is tall doesn't mean they automatically command respect. And just because someone is shorter doesn't mean they can't lead, inspire, or dominate in their lane. When your value is tied to how you walk, talk, think, and act, people begin to respond to you differently. Their subconscious registers your energy before they even process your appearance. They feel your conviction. They feel your standards. They feel your presence. This is why it's not about what others see first. It's about what they feel next. You might not have control over the first second of someone's impression, but you have absolute power over what you leave them with. Confidence isn't a trait for the chosen few. It's a skill. And it's deeply tied to how present you are in your own body, how secure you are in your identity, and how little you care about validation because you already validate yourself. Every time you enter a space and shrink yourself, physically, emotionally, or energetically, you train the world to see you as small. But when you show up fully, unapologetically, and with unshakable inner alignment, You redefine what people associate with strength. You stop allowing height to be a factor in the equation because your mindset, your attitude, and your character take over the conversation. People don't follow height, they follow conviction. They follow certainty. They follow leadership. Presence is also about posture, not just the physical kind, but the emotional and mental posture you hold. Are your shoulders back? Is your chin up? Is your voice clear and direct? Do you make eye contact without flinching? Do you listen intently and speak intentionally? All of that communicates confidence. And confidence, true grounded confidence, is irresistible. It's not cocky, it's not loud, it's quiet strength built from the inside out. You can't fake presence. People feel it when it's real. And that's why it's so powerful. No matter your size, if you walk into a room knowing who you are, what you stand for, and what you're building, people notice. They pause. They listen. Because most people are too busy trying to impress. They forget to embody. And when you embody presence, you don't have to try so hard. Your existence does the work for you. Most rejections aren't about superficial traits. They're about energy mismatches. People want to feel safe. They want to feel led. They want to feel seen. If your energy communicates insecurity, uncertainty, or neediness, it pushes people away. But if your presence says, I'm here, I'm solid, I know who I am, then you invite connection. Not because you're demanding it, but because you're not dependent on it. This is why growth begins with self-command. Before anyone else can believe in you, you have to believe in yourself so deeply that it becomes contagious. You have to walk like you belong in every room you enter. Not because of entitlement, but because you know your worth. And that presence, that unshakable aura, is what people remember long after you've left. Don't waste your energy trying to add inches to your height. Add layers to your presence. Build your inner world so strong that nothing external can shake it. Let every step you take speak volumes before your mouth ever opens. Let your silence have gravity. Let your eyes say, I'm not here to impress. I'm here to impact. Because when presence walks in, height becomes invisible. Rejection has a sting, there's no denying that. But what you do with that sting defines everything. Most people internalize rejection as a verdict. A final judgment that something is wrong with them. They treat it like a life sentence rather than what it truly is: feedback. Feedback wrapped in discomfort. Feedback dressed as pain. But still feedback, and when you start seeing it through that lens, rejection stops being personal and starts being powerful. It becomes information, data, insight, and insight is a gift, even if it doesn't come wrapped in kindness. Every no is a message. Sometimes it's a whisper telling you to course correct. Other times, it's a scream daring you to rise higher. But it is never, ever the end of the road. When someone says no, what they're really doing is showing you what they value, what they prioritize, what they fear, or what they don't yet see. It's not always about you. And even when it is, that doesn't make it a reflection of your worth. It makes it a reflection of your readiness. And readiness can always be sharpened. We grow up thinking that rejection is failure. That being turned down means we weren't good enough, tall enough, rich enough, interesting enough. But what rejection actually does is shine a light on the parts of ourselves we haven't yet strengthened. It invites us to look in the mirror without flinching. It tells us, here's where the work is. And if you're willing to listen instead of retreat, you'll walk away from every no with a sharper edge and a clearer path. Too often, we react to rejection with shame. We start doubting ourselves. We spiral. We question every move we made, every word we said. But what if instead of spiraling, you step back and ask, what is this teaching me? That shift alone is transformative. Because now, you're not the victim of someone else's choice. You're the architect of your evolution. You're learning how to show up stronger, how to communicate clearer, how to align better. And that's a skill set no one can take from you. Rejection also exposes our blind spots. It reveals where we were unprepared or off course. Maybe the timing was off. Maybe the connection wasn't real. Maybe your energy was off. Maybe your presence lacked grounding. All of that matters. But you won't see it if you're busy trying to protect your ego instead of examining your actions. The ones who grow are the ones who don't flinch when the feedback hurts. They lean in. They get honest. They rebuild from the inside out. Every person who has ever succeeded in anything meaningful has been rejected, multiple times. Rejection is a universal experience, not a unique punishment. And the difference between those who rise and those who retreat lies in their ability to extract the lesson from the loss. When you start doing that consistently, rejection doesn't slow you down. It sharpens your aim. You become more strategic, more self-aware, more powerful in your pursuits. The truth is, we need rejection. We need it to grow. We need it to refine our edges. We need it to break the illusion that we are owed anything. Because when you stop expecting and start building, when you stop blaming and start studying, you take your power back. And that's the moment you stop being afraid of rejection. You start embracing it as a necessary part of the process. Like fire to steel, it burns, yes, but it strengthens. Rejection forces you to sit with yourself, to ask hard questions. To look at your flaws not with cruelty, but with courage. And if you're brave enough to do that, you come out on the other side more aligned, more dangerous, more intentional. You stop chasing approval and start chasing mastery. Because approval is temporary, mastery stays. And every no you get on the path to mastery becomes a stepping stone, not a stop sign. When you flip the meaning of rejection, you stop being reactive and start becoming resilient. You no longer see yourself as the person who didn't make the cut. You become the person who didn't need to be chosen to rise. That mindset shift is where power lives. You become unshakable, not because people always say yes, but because their no can't touch your direction, your drive, or your identity. You're grounded. You're focused. You're unstoppable in your pursuit. So take every no with a grain of fire. Let it burn what isn't meant to stay. Let it clear out the weak parts of your foundation. And then use what's left. Use the clarity, the lessons, the raw grit, and build from there. Because rejection never meant you weren't enough. It meant you were meant for more. But only if you're willing to see it, own it, and rise anyway. Charisma isn't something you're handed at birth like eye color or a last name. It's not a trait locked behind genetics or reserved for the lucky few who were born into the right room or the right body. Charisma is earned. It's sculpted. It's built deliberately, one decision, one habit, one uncomfortable moment at a time. People often confuse natural ease in social settings for true charisma. But they're not the same. True charisma isn't about being the loudest in the room or the smoothest talker. It's about presence, authenticity, and the kind of confidence that radiates without needing attention. The reason many people lack charisma isn't because they weren't born with it. It's because they haven't built it. They haven't done the internal work. They haven't put themselves in situations that require courage, discipline, and real-time connection. Charisma is forged in those moments when you choose eye contact over avoidance, truth over flattery, and stillness over fidgeting. It's shaped when you hold your ground without aggression, when you speak with purpose, and when your silence carries more weight than empty words. It's about energy, not noise. Building charisma requires self-awareness. You can't project what you don't know you carry. You can't engage others if you haven't first engaged yourself. Most people walk through life disconnected. Mind in one place, body in another, heart somewhere else entirely. But charismatic people are aligned. Their words match their tone. Their gestures match their message. There's no dissonance, no internal conflict being broadcast out loud. And that harmony creates an energy that pulls others in, not because it's flashy, but because it's real. Charisma also requires emotional intelligence. Knowing how to read a room, how to listen, how to pause, how to speak with intention. Those are learned skills. They're not built by accident. They come from studying yourself, from paying attention to the subtleties most people miss. It's in how you respond when someone interrupts you. It's in how you carry yourself under pressure. It's in whether you can make someone feel seen without trying to impress them. That level of awareness isn't luck. It's practice. Confidence is the engine behind charisma, but not surface-level confidence that relies on praise or validation. No, this is the deep, quiet kind. The kind that comes from keeping promises to yourself. From earning your own respect before asking for anyone else's. From knowing what you're about and refusing to shrink for anyone. That kind of confidence is magnetic because it doesn't demand attention. It attracts it. People feel safe in the presence of someone who knows who they are and doesn't need external approval to function. And then there's discipline. Yes, discipline. Because charisma is sustained by consistency. It's not a performance you turn on when the spotlight hits. It's who you are when no one's looking. It's how you treat the server at the restaurant, how you follow through on your word, how you show up for people without needing applause. Charisma built on discipline creates trust, and trust is what people gravitate toward. You become reliable, not just entertaining. Solid, not just likable. Charisma isn't always loud. In fact, some of the most magnetic people are quiet by nature. But their energy is undeniable. They listen with intensity. They speak with clarity. They stand with purpose. There's no flinching, no neediness, no performance. Just a quiet storm of presence that fills the room and commands respect. That doesn't happen by accident. That's the result of intentional self-mastery and an unwillingness to fake it. People with true charisma aren't trying to be liked. They're trying to be real. And that authenticity is rare. We live in a world where everyone's performing, filtering, curating their persona. But when someone shows up as they are, unapologetically, with both strength and vulnerability, it's disarming. It makes others feel safe enough to be themselves. That's what makes charisma so powerful. It gives permission. It liberates. It inspires without even trying. The road to building charisma starts with brutal honesty. Ask yourself, where am I playing small? Where am I relying on external things to feel valuable? Where am I avoiding discomfort instead of leaning into it? Because charisma is born when you stop hiding. When you start owning every part of who you are. When your story becomes your strength and your flaws stop being something you apologize for. That transformation doesn't come from luck. It comes from radical self-ownership. So no, charisma isn't a gift. It's not lightning in a bottle. It's a mirror. It reflects the relationship you have with yourself. It shows the world how deeply you've done the inner work. And when you build it, when you really build it, it becomes the most powerful tool in your arsenal. Not because it makes people like you, but because it makes people feel something they can't explain. And that's when everything changes. Respect isn't something you beg for, it's something you command. And the moment you start chasing approval, you signal to the world that you don't fully respect yourself. When you bend, shrink, or shift just to be liked, what you're really telling others is that your value is negotiable, that you'll mold yourself to their preferences just to stay in their good graces. But people don't respect what's easily swayed. They respect consistency. They respect boundaries. They respect someone who knows who they are and refuses to compromise that for temporary validation. Approval is addictive because it feeds the ego, but respect feeds your character. And character is what holds you steady when everything else is uncertain. If your self-worth rises and falls based on who accepts you or who says yes, you'll live in a constant state of performance. One wrong look, one criticism, one ignored message, and you're unraveling. That's not strength. That's fragility disguised as friendliness. Commanding respect means you're rooted so deeply in your truth that praise feels nice, but it's not necessary. When you chase approval, you lose your edge. You start filtering your words, dimming your opinions, walking on eggshells just to avoid upsetting anyone. You become palatable, but forgettable. And the truth is, people don't admire those who try to please everyone. They admire those who stand firm in their values, who take risks, who speak when it's uncomfortable, and who don't flinch when they stand alone. That kind of presence doesn't need applause. It needs alignment, because when you're aligned with your core, the noise fades and the power rises. Respect is born out of boundaries. It's cultivated in the way you say no, without guilt. It's reinforced in how you protect your time, your peace, your energy. People notice how you carry yourself. If you allow disrespect in exchange for approval, you're training others to treat you as optional. But when you set a standard and uphold it, even when it costs you popularity, you send a clear message: you are not here to be liked, you are here to be respected. And that message echoes louder than any words. There's a sharp difference between being kind and being compliant. Kindness comes from strength, compliance comes from fear. When you command respect, your kindness isn't a weakness, it's a choice. It's deliberate. It's powerful. But when you're desperate to be liked, kindness becomes currency, something you use to buy love, attention, or validation. And over time, people feel the difference. True respect is earned when you give without needing, help without enabling, and stand firm without arrogance. To command respect, you have to get comfortable with being misunderstood. Not everyone will like you. Not everyone will agree with your choices. That's not just okay, it's necessary. Because the minute you start trying to explain yourself to everyone, you dilute your strength. You don't owe everyone access to your thoughts, your time, or your emotional labor. Let people sit with the discomfort of your silence. Let them wrestle with the boundaries you've drawn. The ones who are meant to stay will rise to your level. Approval seeking will keep you stuck in small rooms. Rooms where everyone agrees, where no one challenges you, where your growth is capped by the fear of offending. But when you stop chasing approval, you give yourself permission to walk into bigger spaces. Places where truth is respected more than comfort, where people don't just hear you, they feel you. And that kind of space only opens up when you stop being afraid of rejection and start trusting your voice. The most respected people are often the ones who were first dismissed, mocked, or ignored. But they didn't waver. They didn't pivot every time the crowd disapproved. They stayed grounded. They played the long game, and eventually the world caught up. Respect doesn't always come quickly. It takes time to build. But once you have it, real, earned, unwavering respect, It becomes a foundation nothing can shake. You stop chasing moments of approval and start building a legacy of integrity. Respect is magnetic because it's rare. In a world flooded with people trying to be liked, someone who operates with self-command stands out. They become the calm in the chaos, the voice of clarity in the noise. People trust them, not because they're always agreeable, but because they're consistent. You never have to guess where they stand, what they believe, or how they'll show up. That certainty is powerful. That certainty is respected. So if you're tired of being overlooked, underestimated, or taken for granted, stop asking for respect and start commanding it. Not with force, not with arrogance, but with alignment, boundaries, presence, and truth. Speak less, do more, stand firm, and let your actions say what your words never need to. Respect will follow, not because you chased it, but because you became undeniable.